awareness factor was what VODS was talking about. Just didn't really have the awareness of where he should be at all times, and compared to a lot of the other pro players, didn't seem up to scratch. We're in picks and pans.
That we are, and PSG on the blue side ban out Shen. So we're not going to see that strong tank up in the top lane. Misfits Academy could, of course, go for those traditional bans that we tend to see from them. Have a few different options, though. We've seen a lot more variety in picks and bans in 7.3.
We've seen a lot of variety, and not going to see Camille in this game. Camille banned away, Jace now banned away as well. So, interesting situation. Rengar, LeBlanc, still going to get banned out by Misfits Academy, you have to assume?
Yeah, well, LeBlanc has already been banned out, so you can assume that one all you want. It's on the screen for you. Jace being taken away by PSG. They've had bad memories of last week of letting that Jace through, so decided to get rid of it this time. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think AD carry is really where I'm focusing in this pick ban phase. We've seen Pilot play the Sivir a lot. He played Jhin a couple of games. Yuki, however, on the other side, has the highest damage per minute of any AD carry and has played Varus all of the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if PSG don't play the Varus themselves and Misfits Academy pick it up early on in this draft.
That's fair. I mean, high damage on Varus. Nice to see Yuki's at least living up to the champion at that point. I think PSG, if it's available, probably first pick it. Malzahar ban on red side. Are they really that worried about Sprattle first picking it? I mean, it has to be Varus here, right? Unless you... I'm looking at what else is available. I
agree with you that I would think it would be Varus, but PSG haven't tended towards the Varus, which is why I don't think... Oh, okay, I'm wrong. Whatever, you're right. This is why you color cast. Is the Varus lock-in? And this will be the first Varus PSG have played, so
okay.
Interested about that.
Well, we'll see. Pilot will be out on his own, and see how he can contend with that. This Graves kind of zones away a lot of junglers, like the Kha'Zix matchup, the Ivern matchup. Graves does fairly well into, and can synergize well with moving into a lane, getting a kill, pushing the tower down very quickly.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you, and now we're going to see second rotation. So we know we've got jungler. You've still got AD carries open if you want. Maybe you want to pick that up before.
Jhin?
Yeah, Jhin. Jhin makes the most sense, so pick that up before the rotation so you don't get it banned out against you. Now PSG have a couple of options. Might look top, might look towards a jungler of their own to make sure they don't get pinched in that role.
Yeah, at this point, Shen's gone from top lane, Jace has gone from top lane. I mean, outside of Maokai, there's not exactly a whole lot of high priority apart from Rumble. You know, top lane is available if you want to take that damage matchup. Ooh.
I'm interested by the Rek'Sai. We have seen Kaime play a few more abstract picks. So he played Zac, he's played Olaf.
Yeah.
The Rek'Sai I wouldn't put up in my S-tier junglers at the moment.
No, I don't think many people would at all, but Rek'Sai is still a solid jungler. I want to see some other type of engage tool coming out from PSG, something else to facilitate. They've now locked in both parts of their bot lane coming through here, and while yes, Karma helps Rek'Sai get into the fight, it's not really going to start it so effectively. Might be based on flash timing now for Kairi.
I think you still got the Thresh here for Dreams if you want it. We've seen the Malzahar ban, a couple of good supports, Lulu, Nami, we've seen a lot earlier on, so could pick that up now. I'm not sure how much pressure PSG will put into focusing down that support. It's going to be Ryze for Kozq, very strong champion, comfort champion for him as well.
Comfort champion locked in, so now we turn our attention to Misfits Academy potentially banning mid laners here to try and zone away a lot of what PSG want to do. PSG are likely target, in fact it supports PSG will likely target here. Yeah. So mid lane and support is where I would expect things to go. A lot of top laners could be contested here.
Yeah, I think the thing with top lane is you've got so much, like after you get rid of Shen and you get rid of Jace, there's not really too much that can actually just win, outright win the top lane with Camille being banned as well. So we are going to see the Thresh ban, which I really like from PSG, stop Dreams being able to be aggressive, and the Talia ban against Blanc. Even when they lost, he had great games on Talia. I think he went 6-1 and 10 in the first game, even though they lost it. So I like these bans from Misfits, stopping Blanc being that playmaker in mid lane.
Yeah, I do quite like it. Let's see where the last ban goes. Is it going to be like a Tahm Kench coming through as a ban here? Deny Dreams any playmaking ability? Ah, it's top lane.
Get rid of the Maokai.
Interesting, because you could just answer with the Rumble if they picked the Maokai, but obviously Rumble, Maokai is, you know, a lane matchup for Rumble, but outside of that, Maokai has a lot of impact. So Misfits Academy right now, where are they? The Karma's already locked in for PSG, so is it support that gets locked in? Okay, the Lulu again we're seeing?
I think Lulu is obviously a high priority amongst all of these teams, maybe more than we see in the LCS. Obviously, they'll be scrimming amongst people, and we have seen it prioritized by a lot of these teams. It's going to be the Corki for Blanc, and then the Rumble, it appears, is going to come out here for Steve as well. So taking quite an aggressive matchup without knowing your counter.
Well, it's also a good siege composition, really. When you're looking at it, like the threat of the poke, the dive coming out from PSG. When you look at the equalizer, the rocket barrage comes through as well. So PSG looking for that tower focus. This is a pick that, I mean, basically does lose lane, tank into Rumble. Never really going to do well in the laning phase, but looking to try and have some sort of impact, maybe as the game opens up. With that depth charge, get on top of somebody like Pilot, lock him down, take him out. High crowd control coming from Dreams. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Nautilus top lane with Lulu support.
Yeah, that is what you would assume. At the moment, it's Lulu top, but we haven't seen that in a long, long time. So I expect that to be switched around, and there we go. Just coming back to the point about the siege composition from PSG, it's quite interesting because they tend to have good early games and then lose out when they get towards those later game portions when they're playing that sort of the time when you'd expect siege to be working.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of fall behind. I think last week was, without making excuses for them, I think it was an unfortunate series of events because like they just went into Baron against a Jace.
But that was a decision. That's a decision.
It was a decision, a silly decision that they made. But they were in such control of that game with Sivir, with Ryze. Very different composition coming out here. I want to see how that early game goes because that's one suspect area that now they're playing with a slightly earlier composition. We'll see whether it can come into effect.
Well, Misfits' early game is quite suspect as well. They tend to be, I think, about 2,000 gold behind by the 20-minute mark. Even when they're winning games, they're still behind in gold a lot of the time. So it could be a battle of the week early games, and we see the team sort of scaling up later. We might have a lot more action early game because these teams are trying to make the plays that get them ahead.
And we may very well. I really am asking the question. PSG, was it just facing the top two teams, or is it genuinely not working with these 5 players?
I think that is the question you have to ask today. It's sink or swim for PSG. If they don't win today, they're relying on other teams playing badly or losing games, and you never want to be in that situation. But you can join us in the action if you tweeted us with the hashtag EUCS. If you think PSG are going to take it and win their first match of the spring split, hashtag PSG win. And if you think Misfits Academy will take the win, hashtag MFA win. We're on to the Summoner's Rift. The first game here between Paris Saint-Germain and the Misfits Academy.
So PSG in a rough spot. Bottom of the table, 0 points. Really need this. Misfits Academy, of course, picked up a win in week 1. So they already are off the bottom of the table.
But week 2, they looked poor at best.
Yes.
That was when Pride Stalker had just come in. It was quite a late change as well. I believe it was announced on a Thursday, so it didn't give them a huge amount of time to prep. And now Pride Stalker sits on the Graves, someone we don't see, well, we see now a lot more commonly. We didn't see recently, up until about 7.3. It's going to be a lot about how much impact he can have.
Yeah, that lethality change, or at least the series of changes to lethality, allowed Graves to come back in. Farming jungle matchups, kind of his speciality, and then he moves over to a tower, pushes it down. So PSG spot out Pride Stalker, but it's just the vision, a little bit of damage back and forth, nothing to write home about.
And great, like the top jungle start for Graves is very common, so it's not surprising that they found him there. They could have kind of expected it anyway. It's just confirming what they already expected to be the case. Blank in the mid lane here on the Corki, very safe pick for him. It's been one of the standout performers for Paris Saint-Germain. Kozku, one of the standout performers for Misfits Academy. So these two guys dictate the pace of the game a lot of the time for their teams, and they'll be trying to do it this game as well. Both of them, however, playing champions that aren't too easy to take down or catch out.
And now Sprattle and Pilot had, for a moment, assumed control of this bottom lane. They do have the push advantage. You can see the 3 minions still alive for them. Means that it's actually going to push just maybe a touch too far. You can see Yuki got the first and second off that wave, but they've got that Next set of minions already fairly low. Pilot missed with that piercing arrow, so isn't able to get it quite as quickly as they want. They will hit level 2 first as they go aggressive.
Yeah, just pushing the lane up a little bit. You expect this from Varus Karma, and I'm really excited to see how Pilot plays on this Varus, because he's known so much more for being a utility AD carry, not the focus of damage, not the nucleus of the damage in fights for his team. Played a lot of Sivir when he was in the LCK, played a lot of Ezreal, played a lot of Ashe, you know, these champions that are less about just pure damage output and more about helping the team. And now he's on Varus, who is probably the highest damage dealer per minute of any AD carry we have at the moment.
Yeah, seriously high damage per minute. Blank and Cosq trading in the mid lane. An interesting thing Dreams was doing was sitting over in the tri-bush, trying to just cover for Pride Stalker early on, just in case Kyrie was coming across. You can see wards already in the river from both supports, just to try and get any vision they can of the jungle matchup.
Kyrie seems content just clearing his jungle, though. He's at the Krugs at the moment. He's got level 3, he's got 21 CS, he's slightly ahead of Pride Stalker. Pride Stalker decides that he wanted to go for the Scuttle Crab and then decides he doesn't want to go for the Scuttle Crab, so he's backed away from that, and now he's going back for the Scuttle Crab.
Well, a lot of it is because they haven't seen Kyrie yet. Now they will have a read. At least that he's not on the lower side. Sprattle's around, so Pride Stalker has to be careful. But Kyrie already got the first back off. Got himself Ruby Crystal, is heading on towards the top side, and this is one of the things where Kyrie can actually get into the lanes fairly easily on this Rek'Sai. Earlier gank pathing than the Graves. Graves kind of struggles with that. Wants to just farm up to 6.
Yeah, kind of just runs towards the lanes at times as well. Doesn't have that burrow mechanic, like unable to get the true engage. But you talked about it a little bit in Pick and Ban. We said we'd like to see a bit more engage, like initial engage from PSG, and they haven't really got that in their composition anymore. You know, Rek'Sai is very good at follow-up engage. Yeah. Really needs someone to start it off for him. I guess you've got Equalizer, I guess you've got Chain of Corruption, but
that's going to be the likely tool is Equalizer. Chain of Corruption itself is good as a defensive tool unless somebody makes a mistake and is kind of silly about getting hit by it. But it's the Equalizer that'll do serious damage at starting team fights. But Kyrie's hovering around the jungle here. Ping's going down onto Raptors, and Pride Stalker is around.
Gets a back as well, so he is actually at a disadvantage here. Blanc coming in from the side as well. Pride Stalker knocked up, has to flash. The Phosphorus bomb was coming down. Blanc actually very low on mana there, but still Pride Stalker respecting the damage that comes out from that Rek'Sai and her Queen's Wrath.
And I think this is one of the moments where Pride Stalker, the awareness issue, maybe comes into effect, because he just had his flash burned because he went aggressive onto Raptors when he knew Rek'Sai was there. The choice of going to that camp is an interesting one when you know the Rek'Sai is there to contend, and Blanc had the push priority in mid lane and was already able to roam out first. So just flash burn basically for nothing.
And it's an earlier game advantage once again for Paris Saint-Germain, and that's what they need. They need to take the early game advantage that they were able to get from Schalke and actually use it after that 20-minute mark. Actually work out a way to impact the game and not make perhaps some poor decisions around that Baron pit as well.
Right now, PSG trying to get the push on in bot. They've got the push top, they got the push mid, trying to push bot at the same time, have the Karma and the Varus. So you know, theoretically, 3 winning lanes set up here for PSG. Couldn't ask for too much better in that sense. We'll see what that means Kyrie can do.
I think one of the problems always is if you have a winning lane, you tend to push it as well, which makes it a lot harder for the Rek'Sai to get those gank paths off. You're looking at lane ganks through the bushes or coming in from behind, and assuming Pride Stalker and Misfits Academy can maintain vision over their jungle entries, it makes it very difficult for Kyrie actually to find a path to these lanes, even though he's on someone as mobile as the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and that, as you said, it's just difficult to find some of the angles, even with Rek'Sai's strength in that. I do wonder now, the draft gives PSG that edge, at least on push, but you can see they're now getting shoved into the bottom lane. Lulu actually does a lot of work with that Glitter Lance to push through. They did change Glitter Lance ever so slightly a while back when it came to the damage being dealt to subsequent minions. But still has good push potential with the Jhin alongside. But look at it, CS advantage is down the board. It was a slightly larger CS advantage for the top lane from Steve. But Steve has chosen to run back up to the top lane rather than teleport in order to save his TP for TP advantage. He can TP into a fight. That gives away some of the lead he had against Jizu.
But especially now we're starting to hit these level 6 marks. That is great for PSG. If they can get a fight around the Dragon, I know it's only a Cloud Drake, but you need to kill the Cloud Drake to get the next Drake up, and it gives you a little bit more mobility.
It's also not necessarily about the Dragon either. It's if PSG can shove this Jhin and this Lulu back in under tower, and you set up a dive with Equalizer in, then PSG will at least get the objective from that. And Misfits Academy won't be able to react on the top side in time.
One of the powers of Graves is the fact that he acts as a supplementary AD carry when he comes for those tower pushes, but Nautilus isn't able to get any chip damage on that turret because he can't push the wave in, so it would be trying to take a turret down from full to 0, which is a lot harder when you're only 2 members and PSG have 4 members or 5 members down in bot lane.
And Steve knows what he's got to do here. He went down, put the control ward in the river. He knows there's the potential of that top swap coming out from Misfits Academy. You can see Yuki and Dreams are recalling away. Has been communicated by PSG, and actually Sprattle is recalling out himself. Misfits have stayed in the lane, so it is not the swap coming out.
Both the supports going back, picking up their sight stones at exactly the same moment, so Vision, well, the ability to put down Vision is equal between these two teams. If you look at top side though, around that Baron pit, there's a lot of control wards for PSG. They really control that top river. However, Misfits Academy control the bottom river, so it's kind of a balance in all things, a yin and yang between these two teams in that river control.
Hands-off game, though, between the two teams so far. It's a bit of a building game right now. As Blank has the package, first one off the game. We'll see whether he actually utilizes that, because, look, Graves is on the bottom side. They've spotted him out. It's not really worth PSG fully committing here unless they can get the Rumble all the way down. About a minute or so of that TP advantage does remain. Blank's moving over still. Is he still got package, or has it expired? Just uses it. You can see the animation at the top of your screen.
But they do force the bot lane back a little bit. Rek'Sai's still around there. Pride Stalker's there as well. However, you need to be careful of the Realm Warp here by Coscu. He's backed away from the lane slightly. He's deciding whether he wants to actually go back to base or whether he needs to be set up for a possible Realm Warp down towards that bottom side.
And look at the setup here from PSG. Again, they're utilizing this Varus big CS advantage. Here comes Kyrie.
Yeah, Coscu has to flash away. Rune prisons him up. But Blank and Kyrie will just go for the mid lane tower.
And yeah, now you're getting damage onto 2 towers potentially. They're bringing Varus over to try and secure this mid lane tower. I actually think you could have left Varus in the bot lane to push out. I believe Kyrie, Sprattle, and Blank could have done this on their own, but nevertheless, just ensuring that Pride Stalker doesn't collateral damage the wave off or anything. That's a very early mid tower going down. Under 11 minutes.
Yeah, that is
opens the map up.
It's so good for PSG. They get better vision control. You can see Kyrie already going and getting those Scryer's blooms away. It means it opens up a bunch of gank paths for Kyrie as well, because he can get into that jungle without being at risk of falling underneath that turret. And they still have bot lane. They still have the setup that they can use. Allows them to get more vision in the blue side jungle. That is superb for PSG, and it's what we talked about earlier on. It's their early game leads. They're very good at early game macro play and understanding where they can take advantages.
And a lot of that is because pound for pound, each player is stronger individually than their opponents here in every single role. But the problem is when you start putting them together as a unit. If the sum of the parts is less, then that is problematic, and we're going to have to track that as we go through the game. But it's nearly a 2,000 gold lead right now. You can see Pride Stalker with Jizu here. Hang on, Steve has Equalizer.
Depth charge
flash
comes down. Steve will put the Equalizer down as well. He's going for Pride Stalker. Not going to flash away here, just looking for the trade. Pride Stalker gets first blood.
Steve maybe could have actually backed out of that situation after the Equalizer went down, but chose to stay, tried to fight, was maybe preempting the collateral damage coming through, recognized maybe he was already dead regardless of whether he flashed, so wanted to save that summoner spell.
Hasn't actually got the CS advantage as well you might expect from a Rumble in that top lane. Pretty even though we haven't seen a huge amount of action up there. However, mid lane is 30 in favor of Blank, bot lane is 20 in favor of Pilot, so PSG, this gold lead isn't all coming from that first turret, still 1,500 ahead. A lot of that is coming from the farm.
Yeah, significant farm leads for PSG. Somewhat to be expected, but nevertheless, it will be reassuring for the PSG fans to see that. They've had a good week.
Yeah,
PSG?
they have. Well, it was last week they beat Barcelona, wasn't it? Or was it this week?
It was after we had our broadcast.
Okay, yeah, so it must have been in the last week. 5-1, wasn't it? Or was that a different game? Was that that was the Arsenal game? That was
I
the
saw
Arsenal
somebody
game.
making a rather cruel joke at the expense of PSG, where they beat Barcelona 4-0, or 4-0, but currently 0-4 in Challenger, which is a rough spot to be in. But honestly, this is a kind of start to a game that PSG will be happy with.
Oh, definitely. You'll be comfortable with this. You won't mind too much that you lost out on the first blood, because all you have to do is look at the numbers and you know you're ahead on farm, you know you're ahead on gold, you know you're ahead in item spikes as well. You know, we see the tiers stacking up for Pilot alongside that Yumu, so not going full lethality, weaving that Mana Moon in there as well. Almost did a Trinity Force on Blank as well, so they're starting to get to these points where they really hit their power spikes.
Yeah, and you can see they're building towards that poke with the Varus getting more mana, because you've got the likes of a Corki in the mid lane who wants the blue buff. Very rarely would Pilot get a blue buff. So again, without anything like an Ivern, you don't get multiple blue buffs, so Pilot has to go over onto that tier build. But again, he's 30 CS up now. Yes, there's a wave that just pushed out, but I'm going to ignore that. Still a significant lead for PSG. And I mean, once they start grouping with that equalizer, that's so much damage. Once they start grouping in front of towers with the equalizer, Misfits Academy, they're going to have to concede. They're just going to have to back away. Otherwise, they're going to get poked down, and PSG will take towers.
That they will, and you can see why Pilot is #1 in solo queue. His lane and his laning phase is incredibly strong. It's dominating in this point as well, and Yuki, who's been a standout performer for Misfits Academy, is struggling a lot to actually deal with the poke that's coming from Pilot.
And look at how much room PSG have in the enemy jungle right now. They're pushed all the way up to that inner tower, only 14 minutes in. Bot and top outer towers still stand, and now they'll finally get the bot tower from it. They've been working on this for a long time.
Taking the mid lane tower first at 10 minutes in the game is just opens up so many possibilities for PSG. They'll get bot lane now as well. They'll continue to spread their gold lead. They'll get the Cloud Drake. And this is just PSG playing well. Misfits made no real mistake in this happening. PSG just gained control of the blue side jungle and were able to enact their plan superbly.
It looked like CosQ dropping very low in mid lane could be the one mistake, from Blank actually just pressuring him down. As you said, there was a lot of harass coming from it, so it's kind of like you know, good play and somewhat of a mistake at the same time. It allowed Misfits Academy, it allowed PSG to push up on that mid tower, take it down early on, and Misfits Academy haven't really had an answer to it. Very difficult to play when you've lost so much vision early on. They have finally made a swap up onto the top side, gone out of that losing lane, trying to compensate for it, and if they can catch Spraddle here,
that ward. Oh, that ward was so perfectly timed. He's actually going to get a lot of damage onto Dreams, and the teleport's coming in as well. They're looking for the lockup. Dreams chains. He's going to go down, even through the wild growth. He tries to flash away, but the rest of PSG are waiting just around the bed. They've left him because they want Pridestalker instead. PSG leave the kill on the Lulu. The equalizer comes down. Pridestalker's going to escape. The curtain's open. Jisoo flashes across the wall and somehow survives as well. No! The missile from downtown gets the kill. PSG take down one
kill, but PSG are looking for the tower that lies behind the team fight. CosQ doesn't have Realm Warp available. Pridestalker had to back himself away, and this is going to be PSG pushing for another tower.
It's their third tower of the game. Misfits Academy yet to take any of those objectives. PSG close it out. I thought it was a mistake leaving Dreams, maybe a nightmare for PSG, but they made the right call in going towards that top lane.
Yeah, not getting blinded by the kills of PSG, unlike before. You know, one of our biggest problems was the Pilot was going over-aggressive in a lot of fights, and on this looks like a little bit more of a reserved PSG. Pilot can play from further back in the fight. He's not moving up until Kyrie and Steve are moving forward in the fight as well, and just one last rocket barrage is enough to take down Nautilus, and they get the tower from it. After that play, Steve also shoved out mid lane and pushed it into the tower to deny Misfits Academy trying to get anything else from the back of the play.
Now the gold lead further extends. 3,000 gold, 3 towers to 0. PSG's early game comes online once again. However, they have been known to falter after getting these early leads. We've seen it time and time again. This time, they'll definitely be hoping not to.
It's the Baron setup. The pesky Baron.
Well, there's not a Baron on the Rift yet, so they can't fail at Baron if there's no Baron there. Just win the game before 20 minutes. That's PSG's new strategy.
Someone should have told Dignitas that a long time ago in a galaxy about an ocean away. As PSG, I just hesitate on saying that this is the kind of lead that you win a game with, because PSG's performance last week really rattled me on how good I thought they were. The start of the game was so good. So good for PSG against Schalke. And Schalke are dominating everybody.
Yeah. I think the thing is, firstly, it was against Schalke. And secondly, it was a very simple mistake to make. And it's a very simple mistake to fix.
Yeah,
which is the thing. It's a single shot call. It's just like, guys, we don't do this. Come on. So
do they have Jace?
Exactly. And they don't have Jace this time. However, they do have a good composition for fighting you off that Baron with the Curse and Call, with the possibility of a Realm Warp and the collateral damage as well. Stalker takes them poke across the wall. PSG own the jungle at the moment. Look at the poke from those piercing arrows. Dreams just takes half his health in one shot. And now the Mana Moon stacking up as well for Pilot.
You can see we're early enough that Steve still has presence over in the side lane. Blank can be up in the top lane pushing out as well. Steve doesn't have TP and Blank doesn't have his flash, so this is a little risky. It's a little over-aggressive, but Kyrie isn't able to steal away the red buff. Still pushing through, getting vision control, looking for the mid tower now as PSG try and push in on the Misfits Academy squad.
Steve just rotates around. You don't need TP if you're already there. The curtain call opens. He'll use Equalizer straight away. Disengages. Yuki half health just from that.
Yeah.
Leandri's burning its way away.
Yeah, burns through him, and there's that threat. Again, PSG, every time they step up towards the tower, you have to respect that. Now, that Equalizer isn't available for the next time, but the rest of the poke still is. Pilot still has a lot of damage. Blank still has a lot of damage, and that's going to be the tower going down soon.
One shot. No, piercing arrow doesn't damage. Minions.
The minions.
Minions get it for them, and it's the fourth tower of the game. Second turret in the mid as well for PSG. They'll be incredibly happy with the way this one's turning out.
They will be. PSG taking pretty much every tower they've stepped up to. And honestly, it's what this composition is built to do. You've got a Varus, you've got a Corki, you've got a Rumble. I'd have liked to have seen an Ivern come out with this. Very good at stepping up to towers, but maybe Kirei is not the most versed on Ivern. He played a lot of Elise in days gone by.
I think the thing is as well, Ivern, you no longer have the immortal Daisy, so you're not quite as happy about it. But this next 5 minutes for me is the most important part of this game for PSG, because time and time again, and we've alluded to this, they are ahead at 20 minutes. In fact, their average gold lead at 20 minutes is 1,000 in all of their games, and they've lost all 4 of those games. At 25 minutes, they average 3,000 behind. That's how much it swings. It's a huge swing, and it shows that perhaps when they start getting towards these team fighting stages, they miscommunicate or they make mistakes. Yeah,
a lot of that is to do with some of their successes in the early game of pushing down towers gives them the gold lead. And similar situation, like, so say Misfits Academy capitalize on a Baron throw from PSG. Misfits Academy can suddenly push down 3 outer towers very, very quickly, recoup a lot of that gold and put PSG behind. And that's the type of situation that PSG have found themselves in a couple of times. And they cannot afford to be doing that. So they need clean setups on the Baron takes.
They don't need Baron. Their siege is
so
good without Baron anyway. They are going to lose an Ocean Drake here, which Misfits Academy will be happy of. Not often you see a Ryze soloing out a
but
Drake.
now PSG step up to the top tower with Steve. They have Equalizer available again, and on the next wave, Ryze is going to take a little more time. Pridestalker's so low, Jisu's so low that they can just move up to this tower, and if they choose the fight, Equalizer is there.
Pretty sure Misfits want this fight. Collateral damage just clear out the wave. Koski was flanking, but unable to get in the position that he wanted. And they do delay the tower going down. Yeah,
Pridestalker used his ultimate to make sure they did. And this is a little greedy out of PSG, stepping up, losing a third of your health.
Alright though, you got like 300 damage on the tower. Not even that, you got like 50 damage on the tower.
Oh, TP coming through. Jisoo's going to try and start this fight out.
Here comes the curtain call. Jisoo is all on his lonesome though. Depth charge onto Spatter. He has to flash. Realm Warp in. Pride Stalker joins the fray. Kozgu, Equalizer, not quite in the position they'd want. Blank now overextended up towards the top side, but PSG want to turn this one around. Pilot still alive. Dreams chunked low by the piercing arrow, and now PSG are on the hunt through the Misfits jungle, looking to see if they can snipe anyone off. Ooh, Kozgu, that's not where you want to be, or maybe it is, as Kairi is taken low once again. Kozgu's still got quite a lot of health, and there aren't the minions here that PSG would like. However, Pilot trying to get those Spidey senses down and connect with the Qs onto Pride Stalker. Turret down to half. PSG get a little bit more chip damage down.
And they have a very clear focus. They didn't get baited into a bad fight there. Misfits Academy used a lot of their team fighting ultimates early on. Fought without the Graves ult, which is now back up and got forced back away. However, PSG did not get the tower. They didn't extend the lead that they have. There's a large wave in the bot lane pushing out as well. So PSG may have another shot at that once they're back out on the Rift.
They still have these CS leads across the board as well. Look at mid, 45 CS in favor of Blanc. Look at AD carry, 40 CS in favor of Pilot. The only lane that hasn't got the lead is actually the lane that should perhaps have a slightly larger lead with Steve into Jisoo, but they won't mind that too much. Steve has his Leandries, he has that damage spike. Pride Stalker exhausted here. Blanc's looking for the kill, but with Dreams there for the whimsy, they will be able to get that Graves away. Yeah,
they get Graves forced back. PSG, I mean, a lot of teams would start thinking about the Baron then, but look, the Rift Scuttle vision is there from Misfits Academy. I'm getting a little bit of a bad feeling about how PSG are moving around this Baron pit right now,
so
but I'm glad that they're moving away from it.
Jisoo's going for the flank here though. Hook down, depth charge as well. Blanc trying to Valkyrie away, but the depth charge would taste him. Pride Stalker melts him away.
Blanc with no flash, too far pushed up.
Steps forward into Kairi, though Chains comes out. Kozgu flashes into Pilot trying to take him out, but the heal is enough. Here's Pride Stalker and Yuki. Gonna see if they can re-engage the fight. Steve up towards the top side, completed his teleport, and is just getting chased out by Jisoo, but he has to back away, and now the Flame Spitter will come back onto Jisoo. He's gonna get whimsied. PSG still looking for this one. Piercing arrow used, doesn't quite connect. PSG will be happy with the 1-for-1 trade after Blanc got caught out. They're looking for the tower as well. Jisoo waiting in the bush, does get sniped off.
PSG are gonna have to do this slowly. Pride Stalker doesn't have his ult to clear the wave through. Only a couple of autos will kill that tower.
There's no minions. The clear from Pride Stalker with the end of the line, and the bouncing grenade coming out from Yuki, and the Riptide coming out from Jisoo. It's just too much.
Pilot just picked up the package. Blanc just picked up the package, I believe. He's moving very quickly on the mini-map.
It would make sense for Pilot to pick up the package.
You'd think so, but...
oh, the good old days of AD carry Corky.
I miss that.
Well, every Worlds.
Yeah. Every Worlds. Ooh, Execution's Calling. Come out already for Pilot. Building towards Mortal Reminder later on in the game. Gonna try and cut through some of the healing that's coming out. Some of the regen that will have an effect.
Yeah, the Ocean Drake regen can actually have a lot larger effect. So having that Grievous wounds down can help out a little bit. Although there's no like main healers. You're not looking at a Swain or a Soraka or anything like that still. Healing does have a large effect in these games, and PSG sweeping out vision around the Baron. We've got to 25 minutes, and they are still ahead in the gold. In fact, they've extended their lead to 4,000 from 3,000.
It's happened.
The curse has been broken, however.
Oh, there's
lots
pings.
of pins on the Baron. Well, I think that's Misfits Academy pinging it, so yeah.
Misfits Academy are the ones pinging it because PSG keep clearing out the blue wards in the back. Now PSG are going to try and swing over to mid lane instead, but they've slowed down. PSG haven't quite been able to have the same success pushing up to towers because Misfits Academy have been doing a better job at defending against them. Don't just all in on the Baron, please.
No, they have to just clear the control ward. It's fine. Like Valkyrie's away to make sure he doesn't take damage from the Baron there. And I think part of the reason PSG have slowed down is they haven't got the aggressive vision they had a while ago.
Right.
You look at the jungle, there's no wards really anywhere deep in the Misfits Academy jungle.
And that's because they've been a little punished by the last few fights. Pride Stalker getting good damage down onto Blanc and ending up trading it for Kozgu, but as you said, it means that the wards couldn't be placed. There's a little bit more security for Misfits Academy when it comes to clearing out wards from their jungle. And it puts the pressure on PSG to try and make a play.
And speaking of Pride Stalker, he's had a really good game this game, and
it's
yeah, it's a lot better than it was. Perhaps a couple of times he's missed position, but the majority of the time he's where he needs to be. We thought the loss of Kadir would really hurt Misfits Academy, and it definitely did last week, but this week they've looked a lot more organized, a lot more like a unit, and although they are behind, they're not hemorrhaging. They're just slowly losing a little bit here or there.
Yeah, they are. There is one key factor, though. Jisoo has his teleport available, and Steve does not. So it means that PSG can't afford a fight right now. They cannot set up anything while Steve is in the bot lane and Jisoo is as well.
Oh, still PSG just playing around vision around the Baron. It is a ward in the back of the pit. I'm not sure if that's spotted out by the control ward and stopped. It's quite possible. Oh, it doesn't matter because Blunk's killed it.
Yep. Just as I was going to check on my own screen.
And now we're going to see PSG just start to step up a little bit more and try and move this vision line just ever so slightly deeper into Misfits Academy jungle, because it's at the edge of where they could try and go for the Baron and know how Misfits Academy are going to play around it. If they can advance it a tiny bit more, then they can do it relatively safe.
Look at how PSG, now that teleport's available, step forward. In the build up to this, they were shoving out the wave. Steve went aggressive onto Jisoo to try and push him out, push him back away as far as he could. Kozky's going to push topside, though. Has to be careful because Blanc is coming, but it's only Blanc.
And there is a Realm Warp available as well. Dreams stopped here. Sprattle, there's nothing there for him to get to. The Realm Warp comes in. He has to flash. Gets himself out. I think perhaps he thought there was a blast cone or something with his positioning, but Realm Warp back for Kozky means that they have the flash down on the support now, and PSG, once again, have to play a little bit more conservatively.
They're getting stalled ever so slowly. Stalled out in this game, and Misfits, they have the Rise for the late game. They've got damage sources, they've got protection for the Rise from this Lulu, and PSG have not had a successful siege in nearly 10 minutes.
It's been a long time, and that top lane tower still stands. Kozky was the one to get the tower. It's Misfits Academy able to get their first turret of the game, and at the moment Misfits have parked the bus, and PSG unable to work out a way past their defense.
Park the bus. Oh.
Very English saying.
Yeah, it is. 2 always arrive at once, though. That's the problem.
3, technically, if you do the maths. But there's actually a mathematical reason for it, but I'm not going to get into it here.
Oh, okay. I didn't actually know that. I thought it was just one of those
You can look it up to educate yourself after the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to do with how passengers are picked up. But PSG now, once again, getting vision. No passengers on this train. Everyone has to fight for themselves. It looks like Kyrie might be playing the conductor at the moment as he tries to marshal his troops around this red side jungle.
What type of bus are we on? At this point, PSG, they're trying to be on one of those tour buses that you see after the team wins like Champions League, but hasn't been that successful so far.
Oh, they do get the turret. There we are. That's all they need to do, but Steve has been caught out. Deadly Flourish down as well. Misfits Academy.
They're turning for Baron.
Something on the other side of the map. They are turning for Baron.
And turning back away.
And they're turning back away, thankfully. Kozky's going to get the Cloud Drake. Got to go fast. We've seen a lot of clouds today, I must say. It's been overcast in Berlin.
Yeah, well, very British game. Oh, he's gone. He's out.
That's what you got to do. You deny vision. You stop them knowing what you're doing. There is actually a ward in the Baron pit, so perhaps a slight overextension by Dreams. But it's all you've got to do. And PSG set it up once again.
And Kozky had blue trinket available as well, so they could have edged their vision through. Could have done the due diligence, but Dreams just can't even flash out. Oh, PSG are going to go for the Baron.
No, they're not.
Okay.
As soon as they see Pride Stalker, they're like, no.
They get the TP from Jisoo as well. This is actually a good trade for PSG. Got the kill. Got the teleport in exchange for a tower, but that's an outer tower, and we're 31 minutes into the game. Now the TP is not available.
Pride Stalker is just around the corner, though. They know it as soon as the smoke ping comes down. It looks like PSG don't want the 50-50, which I like. They're going to go for Kozky. He has to flash. Kyrie looking for the burrow in. Rune prisoned up. Here's the Deadly Flourish as well. Doesn't connect. Here's Jisoo. Slightly separated from his team. He'll be okay. And PSG,
they've learned.
They've learned. This is exactly what I was saying, though. It's such an easy thing to learn. Just to say, no, we can't go for it. And now Yuki overextends. Exhaust down. Has to flash away. 2 flashes quickly burnt on Misfits Academy. It's going to be a lot harder for them to defend this Baron.
Good damage down onto the carries from Misfits. PSG again return to the Baron to try and bait in anybody. No blue trinkets are available. Low on wards at Misfits Academy.
Jisoo
now low on health.
Does have flash, but the curtains are open. Steve coming in with the TP as well. Jisoo will hook his way away. Blank take a huge shot off the end of that, and Coscu still has Realm Warp. PSG need to be so cautious that they don't overstay, and they are just going to back away.
Trying to ensure that they all recall close enough that they can defend each other, but far enough away you don't just give Rise a double kill when he comes into the fight with a Realm Warp. So important phase for Misfits to deny any kind of Baron attempt out of PSG.
However, PSG, 20 minutes in, 3,000 gold ahead. 25 minutes in, 4,000 gold ahead. Now it's back to 2,000. They're losing out this lead that they had developed because they're not able to get the siege off that they wanted.
Yeah, they've been really slow on some of the sieging recently, and that's the problem, is the ability to siege towers actually, it becomes more difficult of each row of towers. Outer ones are easy, inner ones are okay. They don't want to siege up bot tower though, because then you put yourself in a situation where you're potentially trading away the Baron buff. So without being able to push that down quickly first, PSG don't have any easy towers to take anymore, and Misfits have done at least a good defensive job of keeping vision on where PSG can move through their jungle.
We're getting to the point of the game as well. If Misfits win a fight, they probably get Baron. They probably get a couple of towers off it.
Either team at this point, if you win a fight, will take that Baron. And
it's such an easy swing, although Misfits will have felt like they've been on the back foot for the entirety of the game. All it takes is one good fight for them now, and then right back in it.
Yeah, Coscu maybe can deliver Jisoo into the back of the fight, get on top of Pilot, and catch him with the depth charge. Jisoo, a lot of health missing.
Yeah, hooks away, looking for the re-engage perhaps. Coscu's around the corner, as is Yuki. Pride Stalker there as well. Misfits Academy are looking for a flank. They're looking to pincer down on towards PSG, but they can't quite sink their claws in. Rabbit claws. It's Misfits.
Not exactly the most threatening of claws.
Hey, I've seen Monty Python in the Search for the Holy Grail, okay? Be scared of those rabbits.
At this point, it's PSG in the Search for a Baron setup.
Yes. And it is a weakness in their game. Like, I agree that Baron is great for a sieging composition because it just gives them that little bit more power, but if you've been doing this for 15 minutes and you haven't been able to make it work, you've got to change something at some point. You can't just expect Misfits to misplay.
If at first you don't succeed, try, and hit the equalizer.
Yuki does take some damage. Piercing Arrow is not going to connect. Jisoo onto Pilot. Deadly Flourish down as well. Jisoo jumps in. Here's the curtain call. Coscu low. And here come the shots raining down one by one. Dreams takes Pilot. Spraddle's low as well. Coscu alive. Steve dead. PSG lose 3 members. Blank and Kaire's escape. But PSG tried to pull the trigger and it just backfires right in their face. Jisoo's not done yet. He's diving the tower. Misfits Academy take down 3.
It's gone horribly wrong again for PSG. Good trading of damage on the back end of that fight from Blanc, but Pilot got collapsed upon, died with his heal and flash up by the looks of things, could not survive. It's his first death of the game, but so influential is that death, and here comes Coscu.
Coscu flashes in, Kaire has been caught, tries to keep himself shielded with the courage, but Pride Stalker will take him down now. Blanc trying to escape, the red buff slow, the kill, the double. Pride Stalker is on a rampage.
Much better game from Pride Stalker. Misfits Academy are the ones now in front of the Baron buff. They're going to be able to take down this Baron. They're very low, but it's fast enough that with the empowered recalls, they can get out before anybody can punish. And again, a great start to the game from PSG, and the complete misfire on a mid-game setup puts everything at jeopardy.
All they've done this week is go, okay, you know, we're going to watch this again, because this is just, they try and engage, and they just totally miss position.
Watch Jisoo instantly come for Pilot here. As soon as he walks through the fight, depth charge is on. He should not be that close to a Nautilus, otherwise you're going to get deleted instantly. Pride Stalker throws himself at the fight. Jisoo holds them down. Pilot dies, and Blanc is just forced to run away from the fight as fast as possible, and PSG have fallen to pieces.
All they've done is delay their collapse by 10 minutes this game. It used to be at 25 minutes, now it's at 35 minutes. They're 2,000 gold behind. They're going to lose an Elder Drake. They've lost a Baron, they've lost a mid lane tower. Kyrie's looking for the steal, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to take it away. That's the Elder Drake. Pride Stalker secures it, and Kyrie's been engaged on the Realm Warp. Gonna bring in a couple of members of Misfits.
Coscu.
Misfits should not be here. The Equalizer comes down. Coscu's dead. The Realm Warp warped him right into a sticky situation, and PSG collapse.
Oh, that's going to slow Misfits down a little bit here. Without Rise for 50 seconds of his Baron buff, PSG are going to be able to wave clear really easily. Coscu should not have taken that Realm Warp. That should have been a zoning Realm Warp, and nobody should have gone into that fight because Misfits Academy had already won that entire scenario. You had the Elder Drake, you have the Baron buff, siege up with it, push in PSG and punish them for giving you both buffs. But now the pause button is applied. Yep. Both of these buffs are going to run out before Misfits Academy can get any significant damage done.
However, you have to give credit to Misfits Academy and specifically Pride Stalker.
Yeah.
Because we were so worried that this was just going to be the collapse of the team. When Kadir left and Pride Stalker had an awful week 1, this week 2 has been so much better. His early game was perhaps a little bit weak, but in that team fight, his positioning to take out Pilot, his willingness to know if you can get Pilot, it doesn't matter if he dies, because the rest of the team that can then clean it up. It was just understanding and synergizing with his team to a T.
Great performance at a Pride Stalker. Level 17 to level 15 of Kirei. Gotta keep trying to remember. Raz from the LPL was just like, yeah, was messaging me because he used to manage Kirei on Team Dignitas. Kirei always used to tell us it doesn't matter how you pronounce the name, and then decided he wanted it Kirei. So, like a year later, it's difficult when you've got bad habits. Old habits die hard. But Misfits, they're going to try to kill PSG pretty quickly here by pushing onto the tower.
Old habits die hard is a motto that PSG seem to be following as well. Turret falls. Misfits Academy get their 4th of the game. Still 1 behind, but 4,000 gold ahead now. 8 kills to 4 up as well. And with that, Elder Drake about to time out. They still have the Baron buff for a little bit of time.
This is a frustrating game from PSG to watch. A good draft for the most part. Not massively keen on the Rek'Sai, has backfired now. Kirei goes right into the mid lane. That tower's already gone.
Equalizer did come down and took down Yuki quite low. Tower falls. Kirei's still there. The rest of his team's miles behind him, though. Steve trying to get the flank off. Dreams is low. Jisoo hooks away. They're going to look for the engage. Steve lands the Electro Harpoon. There's the knock-up. Kirei on Coscu. Still going for the chase. Pilot is still alive. So's Blank. They get the GA out of Jisoo. He's gonna come back in a second, but is knocked up straight away. Phosphorus bomb just about escapes, but not for long enough. 1-for-1 trade. As it's the jungler for top lane.
PSG have really full health bars still, and they want to try and siege up that bot lane tower. They have a large minion wave pushed in there, and nobody from Misfits Academy is reacting in order to deny it. So maybe it's not the end of the line yet for PSG. They're going to get another tower. There is no Baron buff remaining on Misfits. There's no Elder Drake either, so maybe they start off where they left it 10 minutes ago with PSG. We've gone into the late game, 40 minutes in. PSG now trail, but they're trying to recoup some of that difference.
And we're starting to see almost full builds from some of these players. Let's have another look at this fight. So Yuki opens up the curtain call, and immediately we see the equalizer from Steve.
A good equalizer comes down. The Edge of Night expired from Yuki. You can see Wild Growth was used as well to try and keep Yuki alive. A lot thrown at the AD carry to keep him healthy. But this is a problem for PSG here, is they're relying completely on Kirei to try and get any crowd control in this fight. Kirei has to put himself forward here to make sure they get the knock-up on Jisoo and end up getting that 1 kill. But it's just a trade, 1-for-1 in the end. And because they don't have anything else offering crowd control effectively, PSG are floundering, and that's what really hampered their ability to set up fights behind towers. as much as a siege threat existed, there was not a lot of dive threat.
Yeah.
And without it, Misfits Academy just cleared waves time and time again.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier on. We said, what's the primary engage for PSG? And we said the equalizer. If you're using that to stop Yuki channeling the full curtain call, it then no longer becomes your primary engage unless you're going straight in onto it then.
Yeah, exactly, because you have to wait for the curtain call to actually be cast. So PSG really struggling without an engage tool.
Pridestalk is channeling his inner assassin. Going to try and catch out Kirei here. We'll put some damage down. On the end of the line comes out and won't actually catch him out, but that's a good idea from Misfits Academy because they know PSG will be rotating and trying to defend these towers. They're going to continue to look for it. Half HP on this bot lane tower. Misfits and PSG have decided it's everyone in the bot lane for the moment. There's the equalizer. That's great placement. Pridestalker jumps in though and Kirei goes down. Steve Flame throws his way into the fight, but not going to be able to pick up anyone yet. Misfits are low.
So low.
The problem is PSG have no engage. How are they going to get there without Kirei? Blank flashes in. Blank gets hooked up and Blank is dead. And they still can't take down anyone.
Blank on his own is flashing forward over aggression, trying desperately to even it up, and he ends up 1 versus 4. They catch out Cosq with the chains. The equalizer comes through. It's a decent setup, but Kirei dies so quickly, as does a lot of Blank's health. Redemption healed up quite a lot. And this call right here, look, if you're doing this, surely everybody has to flash forward. Surely it has to be Pilot flashing forward. Surely it has to be Sprattle flashing forward with like a multi-person shield. Otherwise, you just threw your mid laner into the fight, and now the Baron has gone.
Second Baron for Misfits Academy puts them 7,000 gold up. And now they can start to look for that close once again. The worry always is, you know, PSG have a great siege composition, which means they're pretty good at wave clear, pretty good at defending towers, and you do have to break that inhibitor line if you're Misfits Academy. So unless you can get a good catch or a good pick off in the jungle as you see PSG rotating, it's going to be quite hard to actually just siege under a tower.
6-0-4 for Pridestalker, basically full build.
Everyone's basically full build at the moment.
He has had a good game. Really punished Pilot in that one fight. Really turned it around.
He has, and actually if you look at it, Cosq completed everything with that Rabadon's there to round it out. Almost everything for Blanc. 80 carries are there as well. PSG chains onto Yuki, trying to catch him out. They'll take him down. Equalizer on Dreams as well. He's going to go tick, tick, boom, as he just about escapes with the flash. But PSG can't go any further. They get Yuki, great. You've stopped a lot of the engage coming out from Misfits Academy. You've got rid of a Baron buff. But what do you do now?
You now have got to somehow siege up towers, which isn't particularly possible. Keep in mind, there's a lot of wards behind some members of PSG right now, and if that's a teleport that comes through from Jisoo to try and take a 4 versus 2 or 3, because look where Pilot is. Pilot is nowhere near the rest of his team. They're trying to group on the bot side, but they're not there. Cosq has Blank pretty much cornered.
Oh, the Inspire will shield him up and speed him up for the moment. Jisoo's going to try and jump over with the Blast Cone. Here comes the collapse. TP in by Steve, though. And Misfits might not want this, but they do, because they take out Blank. Pridestalker with the flank. Steve is miles away. He needs to join the fray, but he decides against it. He'll run away. 2 kills so quick for Misfits.
PSG way too far up. We had all the time in the world to see Misfits utilizing the Realm Warp, getting in behind PSG, and Misfits, they still have the Baron buff. There was no respect from PSG on the strength of this rise. They have not been playing around it all game. They've not had to think about it all game, and now it punishes them. The Baron buff going to push in with it. 30 seconds on 2 death timers. Misfits Academy may just push in for the win here.
And they're definitely looking for it. There's the inhibitor tower going down. They'll get the inhibitor as well. They're going to step forward. Still that Baron buff on, as you say. Yuki's on his way. Equalizer comes down to try and clear the wave. Nexus tower's the target. Pridestalker quite low, though, off towards the side. Does need to be a bit cautious. Cosq down to half as well. I think Misfits will decide for the time being. They don't quite want the fight.
I think that's a smart option here, but they've done enough damage from this. Elder Drake is up in 50 seconds. A couple of empowered recalls still remain. PSG thought that this was okay because they have the numbers advantage. The problem is Sprattle gets knocked up, Kirei gets knocked up, Blank gets knocked up, blown into oblivion because Pridestalker came around the side. the last 2 to 3 minutes from Blank has been very frustrating to watch. Flashing forward alone in a fight, out of position, not respecting the Realm Warp, forcing the rest of PSG to come and rescue him, and they end up on the back foot, and they're going to end up losing this game because of mistakes like that.
If they keep on making them, they definitely will. You have to feel happy if you're a Misfits fan, though. They were behind. They were being out-macroed. They were being outplayed. They were being out-sieged. And then they capitalize, and they've continued to extend their lead. That was 2 words I mixed up. Now 9,000 ahead. That's what I was going for. And they have those 7 turrets. They've knocked down the mid lane inhibitor. Elder Drake on the cards. It would be their second, alongside that second Baron they picked up a few moments ago.
This is going to be the last fight for PSG over this Elder Drake. Kyrie gets pulled in.
And there's the knock-up onto Pilot once again. Realm Warp in. Pride Stalker Assassination Squad takes down Pilot. They're going to get the double. Pride Stalker's on a rampage. He is undefeatable. Kozku will take out Steve. Kyrie will get locked up. Jisoo swings the anchor and swings the dagger into the hearts of PSG as they lose the fight, and they're going to lose the game.
PSG again with a great start, but Misfits, the late game has been superb from them, and they're going to take this game.
Misfits, the late game kings, and the kings of game 1 against PSG, as they will take down Blank, and then they'll take down the Nexus.
Oh, PSG. This time, it was only 2 fights that Pilot got caught out in. A lot of the fights previous to that, it was Blunt getting caught out, but just the same issues underpinning everything PSG are doing. Good setup to the game, but without any kind of crowd control, they couldn't make plays to keep getting towers. They get stalled out, a fight goes wrong, they lose a Baron, they lose the game.
It's a switch, though, because last time it was Pilot getting caught out, so now it's just Blank getting caught out. Just one by one they have to decide. I think the problem for me is, right, I believe the hype about PSG. They've got great players. They could have been amazing. It feels like they're just a split too early. Give this team a split to develop, get that communication under control, get their late game and mid game under control, and they could be a dominant force. I just think they need a little bit more time.
Yeah, I kind of agree on the time thing here, and I guess it's the type of thing that we saw with Schalke was they came in, the first iteration maybe wasn't the most solid, you know, improved support staff, improved the team lineup. I think the players are good enough on PSG. It's the tactical awareness that I'm worried about from PSG, because they're making plays with comps that kind of they can't do it with, and they had good siege, but with the Rek'Sai, it zoned out so many options for them when it actually came to getting fights started, and there was nothing they could do.
Misfits, on the other hand, great play by them. You have to give them credit, going behind, able to get back into it. Now, there are mistakes in their game. They're going behind is something they really shouldn't have done. They were a couple of times they didn't get in vision control where they should have done, and some of their fights were very sloppy, like Yuki getting caught out when all that does is put the pause on the game. However, week 1 they played great, week 2 not so good. This is looking like the Misfits from week 1 to me.
It's looking better. They look like middle of the table right now, and I don't see why they can't take a 2-0, but PSG need to convert these strong early games. So rare is it that early games go so well and you've lost every game so far.
It's incredibly rare indeed. We're going to pop our Zhonya's, but when we return, we'll have our final game of the night. Game 2 between Paris Saint-Germain and Misfits Academy. He tries to flash away, but the rest of PSG are waiting just around the bed. They've left him because they want Pride Stalker. Instead, PSG leave the kill on the Lulu. The equalizer comes down. Pride Stalker's going to escape. The curtains open. Jisoo flashes across the wall and somehow survives as well. No! The missile from downtown gets the kill.
Yeah, a very British game. Oh, he's gone. He's out. Try and hit the equalizer.
Yuki does take some damage. Piercing arrow's not going to connect. Jisoo onto Pilot. Deadly Flourish down as well. Jisoo jumps in. Here's the curtain call. Kozku low. And here come the shots raining down one by one. Dreams takes Pilot. Spraddle's low as well. Kozku alive. Steve dead. PSG lose 3 members. Misfits are low.
So low.
The problem is PSG have no engage. How are they going to get there? without Kyrie. Blank flashes
Oh, Flash will
in.
do
Blank
it.
gets
Oh.
hooked up, and Blank is dead. And there's the knock-up onto Pilot once again. Realm Walk in. Pride Stalker Assassination Squad takes down Pilot. They're gonna get the double. Pride Stalker's on a rampage. He is undefeatable. Kozku will take out Steve. Kyrie will get locked up. Jisoo swings the anchor and swings the dagger into the hearts of PSG as they lose the fight, and they're gonna lose the game.